Is there a double standard for justice in this country? Is Biden targeting American citizens more than actual criminals? Find out today as we look at the cases. I'm Drenda, and this is Drenda On Guard. Let's get into it. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you never miss an episode in the future. If you enjoy these videos, share them with a friend so they can stay informed too. Well, if you weren't sure before, you can be certain now that we are living in a banana republic. Yes, I said it. In case you missed it, the FBI just arrested Thomas and Daphne Kasparek for the crime of entering the Capitol building on January 6th, 3 years ago. And the worst part of it all is that this Loudoun County couple was only in the building for 12 minutes. Thomas described that infamous day as something you'd expect from a communist regime. The FBI came to their home at 6 a.m. in the morning with flashing lights, banging on their front door, and demanding that they come out with their hands up. When Thomas opened the door, he was greeted by 6 armed FBI agents in full gear, pointing their weapons directly at him. By the end of the day, they were charged with 4 misdemeanors and left emotionally scarred for their crimes. I just want to say that we are seeing the end of the 3-tiered justice system. We have 3 arms of the government, and what we're seeing now is them all being dissolved into one, and it is a banana republic. The American judicial system has been reduced to the persecution arm of the Democrat Party. It does not recognize or abide by the Constitution anymore. The 3 branches of government are no more, says the Gateway Pundit. And MIRDM, commenting on this, said they are all under the control of leftist radicals whose involved members are so afraid of losing their seats of money and power, they have taken the knee and sworn fealty to the leftist radicals. America has nowhere to turn for restoration. And we can all feel that way. We were seeing things that we could have never imagined when we look at what's going on with Donald Trump. Weekly, we hear of another lawsuit and of a judge that has conflicts of interest galore weighing in on this, and that Trump had to pay a penalty before he could even appeal the case. These are desires to bankrupt people. If you and I, as common citizens, were facing these type of accusations like this couple, how would we defend ourselves in a court of law? Financially, it's very expensive. We see what it's doing to Donald Trump's finances. There's so many things going on. David Stone said, when exposing a crime is treated as committing a crime, you know criminals are running your country. That's an interesting thought and a sad indictment on where we are as a nation and what's going on. I know recently Judicial Watch just filed a lawsuit, $30 million wrongful death suit against the federal government for the Capitol Police shooting of Air Force veteran Ashley Babbitt. The suit was filed on behalf of her estate and her husband Aaron, and they claim the officer who shot Babbitt was incompetent, had a record of this, and dangerous. Should have recognized Babbitt posed no threat to Congress when she entered the House Speaker's lobby. Fenton shared on X, we just filed an important lawsuit, a $30 million wrongful death action against the United States government on behalf of Ashley Babbitt's husband and her estate. Ashley Babbitt was killed for no good reason that day, shot and killed by Lieutenant Michael Byrd. Judicial Watch is seeking accountability from the United States government that is responsible for that awful and unjustified shooting death. And remember, the only homicide on January 6th was the unlawful shooting death. As we had heard, there's all types of things swirling, but this was the actual only homicide that happened that day. And Ashley deserves justice. I got to hear her mother speak at various meetings. I heard her speak and what she shared about her daughter, who had an impeccable record in the Air Force as a veteran. It's kind of shocking, these type of things happening. And also the person that shot her, the Capitol Police officer, already had several violations of using his gun. So it's just interesting. He was put in that position that day and completely exonerated of any wrongdoing while she was actually being investigated by the government as a terrorist. And anyway, for her disagreement with the government. This is where we are. In other news, Biden's DOJ is cracking down on even the most harmless members of society. In fact, saving lives could put you in handcuffs and leave you with federal charges, like the heroes in our next story. An 87-year-old woman named Eva Adele, a survivor of a communist concentration camp, is well known for her life of activism in the fight for life. Her peaceful protests outside of abortion clinics have led to more than 40 arrests. This time, however, Biden's DOJ decided to step in and charge her federally for the crime of singing hymns in a hallway. Sadly, she isn't the only one. Pro-life activist Jean Marshall, 73 years old, and Joan Bell, 74 years old, have also been convicted for blocking the entrance to an abortion clinic and now face up to 11 years in prison. It seems like the justice system is being aimed at Christians like a weapon under the current administration. But what do you think? I'd like to hear your opinions and thoughts. When we see illegals roam free while citizens are treated like animals, we see the FBI ignoring known criminals actually hiding in the U.S. It makes us all think something is being done differently. We have little grandmothers that are actually sitting at abortion clinics singing hymns being arrested, and the same thing that happened on January 6th as well, where you have citizens, patriots, grandmas, Bible study groups sitting on the Capitol lawn, praying for our nation, protesting peacefully the election. And then we see groups brought in. We've seen video footage of Antifa. We've seen video footage of guards and people motioning people into the Capitol. It's hard to know what to believe, but certainly we all question what is going on in our government. We see illegal aliens that have committed incredible crimes like what we saw with Laken Riley. And what's going on our border is shocking, shocking. You've heard probably the story of Laken Hope Riley, a 22-year-old girl studying nursing at Augusta University. She was an avid runner and been in cross country since high school. She was out running and her roommate saw that she didn't come back from her morning jog as she typically did. It was later discovered that an illegal alien, Jose Antonio Ibarro, kidnapped and murdered her, hiding her body in the woods. I hate to even go through this list, but to make the point that we have illegals coming in our country unvetted, many of them terrorists, many of them released from mental institutions, the worst any country has to offer, being dumped in our borders and brought through the United States unvetted. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't some good people that are seeking asylum, and I don't want to miss that. But by and large, this is an incredible army that's coming into the United States. Many of these people are coming in without families. If they're seeking political asylum, where are their children? Where are their families? Most of these are fighting age men from countries that are not our friends, not our allies, that are actually declared enemies of the United States. Here's just a list of some of the horrific things, and this is sensitive, so if you have children, I would encourage you, they probably don't need to hear this. Kayla Hamilton, she was murdered on her 20th birthday by an MS-13 gang member. She was strangled with a cord, sexually assaulted, and left for dead. Ruby Garcia, 25-year-old, killed by previously deported illegal alien Brandon Hortes, left for dead on Highway 131. Aiden Clark, 11-year-old, that's the age of a granddaughter I have, killed on the first day of school by an illegal alien. Maria Gonzalez, 11-year-old girl, sexually assaulted and killed by an 18-year-old illegal alien, stuffed in a laundry basket and hidden under her bed. Elizabeth Medina, 16-year-old, killed by 23-year-old Rafael Romero, one of 840,000 immigrants who overstayed their visas in 2022. And Nazareth Tamer, 31-year-old mother of an 8-year-old boy, beaten and hacked to death with machetes by 3 illegal alien gang members. These stories are heartbreaking, and former President Donald Trump has taken notice. Let's hear what he had to say about it.
The illegal alien charged with Ruby's really heinous killing, and this is somebody that had many, many arrests, including for some very bad crimes that he committed, and he was set loose to roam our streets, and in this case set loose to roam in Michigan. by politicians that are left and weak and stupid. On March 22nd, he shot 17-year-old Ruby. Actually, she was a beautiful, beautiful young woman. Ruby Garcia was shot multiple times with an illegally obtained handgun. Her body was dumped on the side of a highway, left to die, actually. Had a little life left to die. And Ruby passed away, and it's been a big story because it's so horrible. Some of these horrible stories, there's so many of them, you could go on for days, but some of them just, they resonate so much more for whatever reason. They're all so horrible, and there's so many of them. Now Ruby's loved ones and community are left grieving for this incredible young woman, remembering what they called her. They said she had just this most contagious laughter, and when she walked into a room, she lit up that room. And I've heard that from so many people. I spoke to some of her family. 2 months ago, another illegal alien criminal was sentenced in Kent County by executing a 22-year-old Grand Rapids woman while she was in the car with her 1-year-old baby, shooting her at least 5 times all over with a rifle at point-blank range, while the killer was wanted for outstanding attempted versions of various forms of strangulation. They were looking for this particular killer all over the country. He was allowed to come into our country by a very weak border policy. And just a few weeks ago, I met with the grieving family of Laken Riley. You know Laken, she was incredible, top of her class. Everything was the top. She was the top of everything. She was incredible. I met the parents, incredible people. The 22-year-old nursing student in Georgia who was barbarically murdered by an illegal alien animal. The Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals. Nancy Pelosi told me that. She said, please don't use the word animal, sir, when you're talking about these people. I said, I'll use the word animal because that's what they are. I'll never forget my vow to her wonderful mother, father, and sister 2 weeks ago. And I said, I will deliver justice for Laken. I said that, and now, today, I'm adding something. It's going to be for Laken, and it's also justice for Ruby. We're going to deliver justice for Ruby. We're going to watch what happens with this thug. We're going to watch what happens. And we have all the law enforcement behind. They're going to be watching what happens to this thug. He's not going to get away with it. So many people get away with it. They say, oh, let him go, let him go. I'm the only one that has to put up a bond. You know, I put up a bond. I didn't do anything wrong. I had to put up a bond this morning for $175 million. I did nothing wrong. They can shoot somebody, kill somebody, and walk out of jail an hour later. How about that? Do you think that's a fair policy? That's called radical left. But not one more innocent life should be lost to Biden migrant crime. The first step to restoring safety in America is to fire crooked Joe Biden, get him out November 5th, and we're going to get him out. We're going to have more people voting, I think, than anybody can even imagine. And if that happens, if we swamp them, you know, swamps too. First you want to drain the swamp, but you want to, for purposes of voting, you want to swamp them.
It's time for Joe Biden to say their names, and it's time for this administration to be held accountable for their negligence. These are issues that are happening all the way from January 6th to our border, where we see lawfare being used against citizens of the United States of America, while we see people that are not citizens of the United States being brought in by hordes. And you have to say brought in because they're being flown into different counties, they're being brought in by plane, they're coming across the border. This is an invasion. Anyone who could look at this could see, if you want to destroy a nation, how do you destroy a nation? You destroy its energy sources, you attack its food sources, which we see happening. Last year we had to import more agriculture for the first time in American history than what we exported. You attack the children. We see the children being attacked, not only by these children being murdered and brutally horrible things happening to American citizens and targeting children. We see our children being targeted by TikTok. We see them being targeted by our schools and by medical institutions trying to transition their bodies, trying to brainwash them with wrong thoughts, to make them feel hopeless. Our suicide rates are off the charts, higher than ever in American history. And you go after the nation by setting up armed forces, if you will, that come in illegally. They're setting up a military operation across the nation where people that are illegal aliens are being brought into the nation. And then we see situations where the Capitol building, being the people's house, anyone that went in that day, even committed no crime as far as did anything, did disrupt anything, didn't destroy any property, they were treated as terrorists. The real terrorists are coming across our borders and nothing is being done. I urge you, we must absolutely vote for the safety of our children. We must hold public officials accountable, all the way from the local level to the top. We do not want an oligarchy ruling America. I've traveled the world and I've seen these type of regimes set up where people have no freedoms, have no rights, and they live in fear of speaking the truth. They live in fear of peacefully protesting. They live in fear of just standing up for their day-to-day life, living, and in being able to speak. These are things of communist regimes. I was recently in the Czech Republic that went through Nazi Germany's takeover and confiscation of all their property and possessions and their incredible tyrannical rule. They were delivered from that only 3 years later to have the communist government come and do the same thing and have all of their possessions taken for the second time, their lands, their homes, anything they own. And for many, many years, it wasn't until late American history that any of these things were restored to these people. Another area we're seeing warfare against Americans is in homes. Buying a home since COVID, the last few years, corporations have come in and purchased homes across the United States of America. Many young families, many home people, pursuers to purchase a home have been unable to do so because corporations have come in, drive up prices, and purchase these homes. And what are they doing now with them? They're going to rent them back to the federal government to house illegal immigrants. And they get paid per room, per immigrant, incredible amounts of money. BlackRock is one of those companies that purchase a lot of American homes, and they're also part of the World Economic Forum agendas that include DEI and all the other ESG agendas. And so these are American citizens being attacked in our homes. We can't own homes. We can't any longer protest our government and its actions. We see illegal immigrants coming across the border, not being held accountable, but yet we see Americans, the justice system being weaponized against them, all the way up to a former president. And sadly, this is coming from our federal government, the Biden administration, and their actions against American citizens that have spoken up from anywhere at school board meetings to speaking up at the Capitol against what many perceived as an election, a fraudulent election, and difficulties across America with getting proper vote counts. We see something is wrong. These are scams being set up. These are corporations that are part of the World Economic Forum and their agenda to destroy America. And this is corporate greed to the max, as well as oligarchs who want to rule our nation. In the last 2 years, $14 trillion have been transferred from the American people to 1% that control the elites in America, the elites that are trying to control America. They're the ones profiting from these agendas. It's time for us, we the people, to speak up and say no more. I have a book called Fight Like Heaven where I share the different agendas, and my recent book, They're Coming for Your Children, The Fight We Must Win. I expose the agendas against children, everything from the trans revolutionaries, what's going on with medications, fentanyl, TikTok, social media, violence against children, as well as what is going on with the whole Green New Deal and climate emergencies being used to terrify children and push agendas, resulting in many suicides among kids who cannot stand to live in a world where there's no hope and that they feel like the world is coming to an end. You and I owe it to them to stand up for American values, to stand up for our Constitution, and to fight for the children. I encourage you to join me in this fight. Go to Drenda's Fight Club and join me there and join me here. Please like, subscribe, and share this with others so we can fight these agendas that are trying to destroy America through lawfare, through warfare, through immigration tactics, through so many ways. This is a battle on many fronts, but we can win. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, stay on guard.